What is going on? Happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what that means. It's time for the show, Change the F Up, where the format is never the same because reasons. Of course, you can always find us on Spreaker.com, iTunes, Player.fm, PodDirectory.com, Stitcher.com, TuneIn Radio, IW Nerd, Satchel Podcast Player, as well as Castbot.fm, as well as Mr. NTG1990 on the YouTube. Got to give a shout out to our sponsors, of course, as always, AJsBelts.com, where you can get exclusive deals on championship belts, wrestling and MMA related, as well as the Satchel Podcast Player and ProWrestlingCrate.com. Now, before we get into the show, I, of course, am your host, Nate the Effing Great, joined here by the lovely Stacy, a.k.a. VicTori Belle from the Deddersons. Like always, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing as peachy as always. But before we get into our topic today, you guys, this Friday is Friday the 13th, the legendary Friday the 13th, which means everything bad is going to happen. And on this certain Friday the 13th, it may indeed hold up to its name because of two reasons. A, the premiere of Bye Bye Man, the new horror movie that's coming out. It actually looks pretty good. I am actually going to be seeing that and setting up a review, hopefully by the end of the weekend. Basically, for everybody that doesn't know, Bye Bye Man is apparently some kind of evil spirit where you can't think it, you can't speak it, otherwise it will end up killing you. So that is going to indeed be a movie worth watching. And actually something that VicTori Belle addressed to me before the show, even weeks prior before, the debut on Netflix of Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events. Count Olaf, played by Neil Patrick Harris, returns, and we get to see what he is up to and what he's going to do with the Baudelaire orphans. That is this Friday, you guys, Friday the 13th, Bye Bye Man, as well as Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events. It's going to be quite eventful. All right, so let's get right into it. Now, Tori, you kind of explain to me what we're kind of doing, because I guess I can't explain it as well as you had. What exactly are we doing today?
Well, we decided that we've been talking a lot about movies, a lot about on-screen, and I don't know, I was starting to go through in my head, like, how many of these great characters, on-screen and off-screen, are kind of underrated, and they don't really get their time in the spotlight. So we decided to go through the comic books and kind of find some of these underrated comic book characters that, I mean, some we've seen somewhere, some are in cartoons, some are even in some of the movies that you've seen, but they just don't come out how they do in the comic book, because in the comic book they are kick-ass, and we're a little disappointed, so we wanted to talk about them and give them their time of day.
Indeed, so we are bringing back Underrated and Underappreciated. For those of you that did not see the first episode of that, go check it out. Is where we did top 10 underrated, underappreciated movies, which our number ones were Pebble and the Penguin, as well as Dragonheart. Go check that out, you guys. But, so, I think it's only fair that you came up with the list. Why don't you kick us off with the first list of underrated and underappreciated superheroes? And now, keep in mind, you guys, this is going to be DC, Marvel, whatever superhero that we can think of. We are indeed going to be listing off on this list. So, by all means, actually, before we even get into the list, did you have any honorable mentions? I thought you said you had, like, a couple.
Yes, I do. I have 3. And they're people have heard of these people, I'm hoping. But Aquaman is definitely an honorable mention. Super underrated. I hope he does good in this Justice League movie, because in the cartoons and just throughout the DC, the DC world that's been shown, he just doesn't look as cool as he actually is. He's a freaking king. He's a warlord. He's controls the oceans. I mean, that's what, 3/4 of the planet? Like, come on now. He's badass, and he's underrated. Martian Manhunter, the guy from Mars, he's also part of the Justice League, DC Comics. He's crazy awesome, and we really don't ever get to see him. He's not going to be in this new Justice League movie. We don't know why. I mean, I would love to see the Martian. I mean, he has psychic powers. He can control minds, turn into anything. And he can, like, phase through walls and stuff. Like, what? And he has super strength. Okay, he's amazing. Why is he not there? I don't know. And then the final one is Jean Grey as the Dark Phoenix. We kind of got to see a little snippet of her in that horrible X-Men 3 movie. that we don't like to talk about, and that she got killed instantly. Like, what? She's one of the most powerful beings, like the most powerful like mutant ever created in the Marvel universe. I'm almost for sure. Class 4, and she gets defeated by Wolverine. Come on now. No. She has psychic powers, can control flames now as a phoenix, which is a reborning. She can just keep reborning. So, like, no, I want to see her come back. I mean, in the 90s cartoons, she was really cool. She really wreaked havoc, but yeah, and she's not, like, it's borderline superhero, maybe kind of a villain, because the Dark Phoenix personality is more of a alien warring and wanting to destroy a lot, but I'm still going to consider her a hero, because Jean Grey can overcome it, and she does, and then she's just badass, but we don't get to see any of that, so I kind of felt it a little bit in the newest X-Men movie, the X-Men, Apocalypse. She kind of got that little scene where that Firebird showed up behind her. So maybe they're going to give, the Dark Phoenix arc another go and really show that this is one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. But we don't know. We don't know what'll happen. But she's an honorable mention.
Well, actually, it was funny. You mentioned Martian Manhunter. When I was doing my list, that was actually one of the guys that I was actually considering putting on my list, but then I thought, well, I see all these other guys that I'd be a little more familiar with, and I have a little more to talk about, and I honestly assumed maybe you probably would have that on your list, but hey.
I knew he was close. He was really close.
He did come close. I have only one honorable mention, and I think a lot of people might disagree with this one, but I'm actually picking the Spider-Man Extended Universe. Now, what I mean by extended is that with the last 3 reboots that they've done the one with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, now with Tom Holland, they've kind of sticked with the same kind of Spider-Man, the same kind of story. Really, I remember as a kid seeing this Spider-Man Extended Universe, and actually the day that we met, I picked up a poster from one of the guys at the vendors that had like all these different Spider-Man universe deals. They had a little pig Spider-Man, they had the black-suited Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider, all these random Spider-Man deals in there. Even Spider-Gwen, which, honestly, guys, I think that she deserves a movie. I think she deserves it. Put Emma Stone back in that spot. I just think that it would be really cool to just, if it only was just for one movie, I'd be happy just seeing all of these different Spider-Man coming in and just, they can defeat... it could be like the Sinister Six, where maybe they kill off Tobey Maguire at the beginning of the movie, and then try to go for the Andrew Garfield, the Tom Hollands, and then they bring in some of the new people, including bringing in Emma Stone back as Spider-Gwen, and really just create this kind of multi-universe deal. Because, in all honesty, like I said, they're sticking to the same format. You can only do that for so long. You gotta try to at least give a different perspective on so many things. I think that's what DC did a lot better, is that when they did Batman, they've obviously changed, the person, and they also changed the character, and it feels like it's a bit more of a different universe. Like, you compare, like, Val Kilmer Batman to Christian Bale Batman, totally different Batmans, in all honesty. The Two-Faces were definitely a lot different. Jokers were different. So I'm hoping that Marvel gets a chance to finally go out to that extended universe, because I would also love to see, Steel Spider-Man. He looks pretty awesome, and plus it would be very interesting to see, Peter Parker be a little bit of a dick, and not the dick as in Spider-Man 3, black emo hair, snapping away, shucking jiving Spider-Man. No, let's not even relive that. And I'm guessing, Max, if you're listening to this show, I know what you're thinking. Nate, why'd you have to go there? Sorry, bro. It's unfortunately engraved in our histories. Alright, so now, moving on from that sour note, let's get on to our top 5 underrated, underappreciated superheroes. So, again, Tori, why don't you kick it off?
Okay, I'm going to stick in the Marvel Universe right now and actually stay with the X-Men and bring up another person who everybody's heard of, but she just, again, she really does not get a moment to show her true power, which is Storm, played back in the day by Halle Berry. I don't know the newest that came out with the new Apocalypse. There was a new girl, younger girl, which I'm happy that there's a younger girl, because they could have kept calling Halle Berry back, and she's great. She looks amazing at her age, but Storm needs to be young too. But she's in the movie. She's even shown like this Apocalypse guy who is like a god, like one of the most powerful beings ever to come on Earth. He wants to recruit 4 of the most powerful mutants, and he picks Storm as one of them, as one of the horsemen to bring on the apocalypse. And she literally does nothing the whole time, the whole movie. Like, oh, she gets to fly a little bit, and her hair turns from brown to white. Yay! Like, what? Like, come on! This character controls the atmosphere. Like, she can control the weather, she can, like, change the winds, she can do so much. She's literally known as, like, a goddess. Like, people from the Accra area that she was from know her as a goddess. They think she brings the storms and everything. If she does, she can, but it's probably against her morals to really do that. But she's a goddess, and she's amazing, and I thought that so far what we've seen from Storm has been really kind of lackadaisical, really lazy, I think. I think that the film producers and the people who are actually doing this and putting this out just don't want to have to take the time to make... I mean, it's hard to make somebody fly. It's hard to, CGI someone perfectly. But to also, like, create lightning and all that stuff, I think it's just pure laziness. They just don't want to show her as amazing as she can be. And even in a few of the cartoons, she's just known as like another X-Men, but she was one of the 4 horsemen, one of the bringers of the apocalypse, and I think that they should give her another chance and really kind of show her backstory. I think maybe we might get to see some of it if Sony gets to sell Storm back to Marvel, because she does at one point in her comic book history marries the Black Panther, which is another, one of the characters from the Avengers who's from Africa, and she's from Africa too. So it's kind of cool that they get to get married at one point, but it would be really cool to see them both together and get to see some of the X-Men and the Avengers really hang out and really do good stuff, because it's a great universe that they all share. But since some people own certain rights, which Spider-Man had to go through a lot, we don't get to see that. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I think I would actually really like to see Storm, if they did like a one-off or a spin-off of just Storm by herself, just kind of maybe doing like a backstory on her or something like that. I think that would actually be kind of cool. I think she's like you said, definitely one of those underappreciated. I mean, because nowadays they're really been focusing more on Wolverine with especially the new, I guess I wouldn't say reboot, but I guess spin-off with Logan, that new movie that's coming out in the next couple months. But they've only focused on Wolverine as far as the X-Men goes. They've never focused on like anybody else. I mean, I know it's a little off topic, but I would love to see like a Cyclops one-off as well, just to know how he got the lasers from his eyes, how he learned to control it. That would just be fucking amazing. But before we get too involved in that, I guess I better give my first one. That being from DC, that being Captain Comet, who is apparently the pinnacle of human evolution, where he has this giant, massive IQ, and he has been able to use it to have a photographic memory, as well as telepathy, telekinesis, being able to just use his mind to help fight crime. It seemed like the sky was the limit for him, but I guess there came a point where he must have died off, because I'm actually reading the Wikipedia one. It says right here, I guess I could say, and I quote, after his resurrection, however, his physical power was significantly diminished, although his mental and psychotic abilities have been enhanced. He has also acquired a teleportation ability that can be used on others as well as himself, but normally requires an hour to recharge after every quote-unquote jump. I mean, this is one of those guys who I see telepathy, I see mind control, I see him reading minds. It's just one of those things where I'm thinking that would honestly be kind of cool just to see this guy coming in, massive IQ. It would almost be like the